There's one thing which is common about all the corners at Silverstone, and that is that they are all corners which you have to do in such a manner that you get the power onto the road at a very early stage, because the main thing to aim for is the exit speed from the corner. On other circuits this doesn't always count because you haven't got such a fast section after the corner, but each of the corners at Silverstone are followed by a fast section of the circuit, a fast straight. And this is where the entry speed, of course, is important, but the main thing is to get the power on at a very earliest possible moment and exit the corner at the highest speed, because the highest speed out the corner and actually the highest speed you attain on the straight afterwards. On certain other circuits, where for instance one corner is followed by another corner, well, a different system can apply.
For John Surtees, 1966 is going to be a very important year. The first big question for him is, will he pass the physical test? Since his 100-mile-an-hour crash last year, he spent several weeks in hospital and several more convalescing. Does he now have the physical stamina to stand up to the ever-increasing strain of modern racing?
The racing program nowadays is very exhausting. You have it virtually running the full 12 months of a year, and to get a new car for a new formula race-worthy in time is a considerable problem. We at the moment, as you know, start the same as everybody, start the World Championship events, Monaco. But the thing about it is that we've got to get as much mileage into the car and as much development work into the car before the main Grand Prix events start.
Surtees has two strong backers, Ferraris and his wife.
My wife is a part of the team. She sort of grew up in motor racing to a slight degree and has now sort of got as involved in it as I have. She actually is virtually the official timekeeper, lap chart keeper of the Ferrari team, and the only times that become difficult, you can never get her to sort of take a break during a 24-hour race or something like that, and these things become a little worrying, but she lives racing the same as I do.
The second big question facing Surtees and his team is a technical one. This is the first year of the new Formula One racing car with a 3-litre engine, twice as powerful as last year's cars, and capable of nearly 200 miles an hour. The faster cars are going to demand more skill, both in maintenance and in driving. Surtees, who grew up in his father's small-time motorcycle shop, now owns a large house with 7 acres of grounds, complete with housekeeper and 2 dogs. This is where he lives his private life, the only place where he doesn't welcome his fans. But he only spends 6 weeks a year in it. The rest of the time, he's abroad racing. But since his accident, he's spent more time there, constantly doing exercises to get his strength back. He still walks with a slight limp, but you'd never guess that last September he lay on his back with a fractured spine and pelvis and was given 1 hour to live. What happened on that day is still a blank in his mind.
I remember getting into the car to go out to do this practice. I was testing some tyres at the time, getting into the car, but from that point onwards I remember nothing until about 4 days later, when I sort of started to take note in hospital again.
Did you think that you would lose your nerve? Did you in fact lose your nerve?
No, this is not the case. Naturally, from the psychological and general mental side of it, it's quite a strain initially sort of coming back, especially all the people who sort of come up and start talking about the accidents and things like this, you know, when you don't want to talk about it. This creates quite a problem. But the main fact in this, from my point of view, was that I had to know what had happened. And it was very reassuring to know that the accident was caused by a mechanical failure. If, for instance, the accident had been caused by a human error on my part, well, then I would have had very serious thoughts about, you know, whether to commence racing again. But it was quite certain that the accident was caused by a mechanical defect. We'd lost a wheel. Virtually, it wasn't on the approach to a corner due to a faulty part on the car. And this was very reassuring.
In his comeback attempt, Surtees has won 2 races so far this year, at Monza and at Syracuse in Sicily. Silverstone was his 3rd outing. Most of the big names in racing were there, and some of the top drivers. A record crowd of 100,000 turned out to watch the racing, and the usual sporting types were there. Nearly everyone who goes to Silverstone is an expert, or the wife of an expert, or the girlfriend of an expert. At lunchtime, the paddock's full of people watching cars and even wearing them. Racing types come in all shapes and sizes, but some of them are more swinging than others. There was plenty of glamour around, although less appeal from a racing point of view, because some drivers were in America practicing for the Indianapolis 500. The absence of Jim Clark, the Scottish world champion, didn't keep all his supporters away, but it probably took the edge off the racing for a lot of the people who rolled up in cars as sensational as any Formula One Ferrari. Surtees is the dedicated professional who lives to drive and drives to win. And yet he's amazingly friendly and unspoilt by success.
I think he's a terrific driver and he'll do very well this year. I think he's got the right car, the big 3-litre car, and I think he'll do terrific.
He's an excellent driver.
Are you a fan of his?
Yes, I am. Especially his comeback after his crash. I think it's marvellous.
Well, I think he's a great driver. I think this year could be his year. I hope so.
He's very good. I don't know a lot about motor racing. I came here for a sport, but he seems very nice.
I think he's a wonderful person. I think a most courageous person. And a great credit to the British racing fraternity.
I think he's absolutely fabulous. And I should be thrilled to death to see him race.
Well, I think he's a very good driver. I'm pleased he's back, you know, and he's driving again.
I rate him very well. I think he's made an excellent comeback since his accident, and he's very high in my estimation as a driver and as a personality.
He's a good driver.
Do you think he's the best?
No, I like Graham Hill better.
Graham Hill is certainly one of Surtees' main rivals for the championship, and there are others too. But it's not only the driver that counts. The car is equally, if not more important. And Ferrari have an advantage because they've done more work on the new 3-litre engine than anybody else. Surtees gets on well with his Italian racing mechanics. He too is a first-class mechanic. And he's spoken good Italian since his motorcycling days when he rode for the Italian firm of Augusta. Ferrari himself is said to treat Surtees like a son, and the relationship with the Ferrari team is a particularly close and happy one. At Silverstone, Surtees went to the starting grid knowing that his car wasn't perfect. They'd been working on it most of the night.
about 100 yards behind him. Brabham, one above 2, in the lead, starting his last lap. And there's Surtees in second place.
Surtees in number 4 trailed Jack Brabham from the start, and as the race went on, he slipped back slowly. The Ferrari stayed in second place throughout the race, picking up a couple of seconds in the middle of the 35-lap contest, but finally falling back again. He came in 7.5 seconds behind Brabham, but it wasn't his driving that let him down. Although the crowd didn't know it, it was the car's fault. After 10 laps, his back brakes failed, and for the rest of the race, he had to depend on the front brakes only. More seriously, the special tyres fitted to the new Ferrari were a failure, and Surtees said afterwards that they probably lost him 2 or 3 seconds a lap. But last Saturday's disappointment at Silverstone has in no way shaken his confidence in Ferrari.
For a number of years, and they're terrifically enthusiastic, and there's something about them which gives you a lot of satisfaction. It can also sort of be very demoralizing also. I mean, I would like to change them in lots of ways. And I like their basic enthusiasm and the way that the mechanics and everybody else sort of react. I suppose Ferrari has become part of me. He rules, or he has ruled, I should say, by being a very hard and fairly ruthless man. He has built up a factory from virtually nothing. A factory with a worldwide reputation, and I think he has to be admired for this. Well, I suppose I'm a Ferrari fan.
The thing about Surtees is his tremendous enthusiasm, especially for the Italian machines that have brought him triumph on 2 wheels and on 4. Less than 6 months after his crash, he was back testing a Ferrari and breaking lap records at the Modena track.